This SR600 engine right here, after running for over 20,000 kilometers, developed oil pump chain slap, damaged crank journal bearings, piston carbon buildup, worn piston rings, and a filthy throttle body. Today, we'll show you how we perfectly rebuild this engine and completely eliminate the oil pump chain slapping against the crankcase. We hope this video can help all SR600 owners, new and old. After tearing down the engine, we first wrap up all critical parts and bolts from different locations. On one hand, this keeps the dust out. On the other hand, it makes a huge difference when putting everything back together. The carbon buildup on the piston surface is pretty severe. See that? Aside from the carbon on the piston crown, the skirt coating also shows signs of wear and scoring. This is because worn crankshaft bearings caused the piston to lose its precise, stable travel, making contact with the cylinder wall at an abnormal angle. So, while cleaning the pistons, we also replaced the worn crankshaft bearings. Next, we took the cleaned pistons and installed a fresh set of OEM piston rings. As for the installation direction and key points for the 3 rings, if you're interested, we'll make a dedicated video covering that in the next episode. Once the bearings and pistons were all prepped, we used a double insurance solution for the oil pump chain slapping the crankcase. First, we replaced the factory oil pump chain, which had stretched. Second, inside the crankcase, right where the oil pump chain operates, we installed a chain guide, so the chain can no longer strike the case. It can't slap against this part anymore. This block stops it completely. Before reassembling the engine, Master Zhou had already written down the torque specs for the engine bolts, straight from the factory manual. Following the different torque values on the sheet, we reinstalled our wrapped bolts one by one. During assembly, applying assembly lube to the pistons and crankshaft will reduce wear during the very first cold start after installation. Next, we align the transmission gears. Apply liquid gasket where it's needed, resealing it properly. We usually use an electric impact on its lowest setting to pre-install the bolts, and then follow the torque specs to torque down the bolts in their respective positions. Before closing the case, remember to check that the transmission gears and shift forks are fully seated in place. Next, after installing the oil pickup and the steel oil pan gasket, we bolt down the oil pan. The lower half of the engine is now assembled. Moving on, we install the output shaft oil seal, the clutch oil seal, and the gear position sensor. Then we flip the engine upright. Once we double check that the pistons and crankshaft are properly seated, we can add a bit of our secret sauce before installing the head gasket and the cylinder head. With the cylinder head secured, we install new valve lifters for the valves that showed minimal wear. Once the timing chain guide is in place, we fit the timing chain. Next, we install the camshafts and pre-torque them down into position. Once the tensioner is installed and pushes against the timing chain, damn, it's tight now. The tensioner clicked all the way out automatically. Now we can align the ignition timing marks. Rotate it, rotate it. Alright, for the 2 camshafts, these 4 marks must align parallel to the cylinder head surface, and down below, align with cylinder 1 top dead center, TDC. Look at the back. This mark right here indicates TDC. There's a plug that covers this up. This one. Through this plug hole, you can see the mark perfectly. Dead center. Everything is verified. We proceed to install the stator coil and the gasket. Apply a bit of sealant, and we can seal up the stator cover for good. Finally, we put the valve cover in place and temporarily seal the intake ports with tape. The entire engine rebuild is now officially complete. Next up, we need to drop the engine back into the frame. Then, we plug back in all the wiring that we had labeled before teardown. Connect them all up. Install the clean throttle bodies and put the airbox and fuel tank back on. Fill it up with slightly more oil than a standard service requires. Ultimately, it comes down to whether it starts up smoothly. Assembly is completely done now. Let's double check all the wiring connectors and everything we've installed one more time. The fairings aren't back on yet, because we need to crank it over now. Once we get it running, and make sure there are no oil or coolant leaks, and that all abnormal noises are gone, we'll bolt on the rest of the bodywork, and we're good. Alright, we're ready to start the vehicle. Dashboard self-check looks normal. Let the fuel pump prime back and forth twice first. Ready to go. Because there's some assembly oil inside the cylinders, and the oil passages aren't fully pressurized yet. Plus, the injectors and throttle bodies were thoroughly cleaned. Because of this, the idle will be a bit rough right on initial startup. We'll hook up the diagnostic computer and do a calibration in a moment. The engine is purring steadily now. Cylinder head coolant temp is normal. The radiator is working, it's dropping down from 94 degrees. No current or historical fault codes. When moisture started spitting from the exhaust, Master Zhou told me, that indicates perfect, complete combustion inside the engine. The machine is back to peak performance. Moreover, that original knocking sound from the engine is now completely resolved. After a flawless test ride, we gave the vehicle a thorough wash, waiting for the owner to happily come pick it up tomorrow. I wonder if all you SR600 owners out there learned how to rebuild your own engine after watching this? If not, you're welcome to visit us at Yundu Moto Shop to keep learning.